Hello, hello. Welcome everybody to Deadlock Night Shift. It's number 44. I'm here with I was gonna say Jake. I mix you guys up because your name's
it's
not
the hair.
Letter J
it's the hair.
And an A.
Yeah, it's very similar.
It's the fact that it's like 36 degrees here, humid. I showered and my hair is also naturally kind of curly. So you got Budget Jake here. I like to say Walmart Jake on the show. Hello, Jason
Nice.
Kaplan.
ZP, this is show number 44. What is the square root of 44?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm not doing math
Obviously,
right now. I've had
6.6.
too many other things to worry about, particularly in the last
Hello?
24 hours. So my brain just rejects your question to do incredibly simple math. Square roots were never really my thing anyway.
Gabriel would have known that, ZP. I'm just telling you right now.
It's true, it's true. Well, I mean, math. We're not supposed to do math on camera, but we're supposed to cast. We're supposed to do esports, and so we've had a lot of interesting results. I think over the recent weeks, and I think this day will be no different. Let's have a quick look at the formats to see exactly how the action is going to be playing out today. We actually had an EU Qualifier match, as you guys can see. ZP, tell us what happened. You are the man of the matches.
Yeah, so in EU, OCs basically and a bunch of other EU players decided to put together a new team, and it met our criteria for, hey, this team is going to be competitive enough to potentially do a qualifier in EU like we've been doing in NA. Now, in NA, work in progress effectively was unavailable this week, so we just ran it back with Bird with Clock, who's up against Melee Creeps because FPS Lounge won. But yeah, Sneaky team looking stronger than expected in the qualifier. It was a 2-1 in their favor. Obviously, first day of round, the R1 tournament was a little bit of a baptism by fire in the sense that they had their two games in group stages. Day one were Leviathan and Abrahams, and they lost both 2-0. But in the qualifier, they were able to take down Leviathan. So my view on Sneaky team is that this is probably a team that is going to be more or less volatile, as to be expected of a team that was recently made. So, the challenge for Abrahams here is that, well, Abrahams recently beat them 2-0. This is a team that, frankly, is scary in a best of one. So, we'll see if they hit their top potential in the BO1 here today.
Bro, but ZP, OC's beating his old team. Like, come on, how good does that have to feel after getting kicked? I mean, I guess he got kicked, right? It's not like he left, he got kicked from the team. And then obviously like Hapex left as well. But to beat your old roster, that has to feel good. But yeah, like you said, this is gonna be an interesting one. I think it makes him probably the most deadly team that Abrahams can fight up against, considering it's a newer team coming together. It's gonna be tough to see how you actually take them down that best of one, especially because Abrahams has already been playing today and did have a tough time up against Buff Enjoyers in R1.
Yeah, and the NA matches I think will be really interesting. I think NA is super competitive. Of course, FPS Lounge, I think, was that a surprising result for you guys? Seeing them, able to win with such a fresh roster.
Yes.
Overall, I mean, the roster has talent. Also, I would argue while Melee Creeps, they've put together like pretty high, win streaks overall. They're a team that, in the middle of those streaks, it would still drop maps. So the idea like Melee Creeps could drop a week isn't too surprising, especially with a team that has as much talent as FPS Lounge has. So, NA, even when you have a team like Melee Creeps on top, I never really look at them as the undefeatable champion, so to speak.
Certainly is going to be an exciting portion of the show, so don't miss it. I don't think we've ever had NA be so competitive. I feel like we said that a few times, but it still feels like it's really, really competitive. But speaking of which, we also have something else that's competitive, which is our board of patrons. We've got a lot of Patreon subscribers. Thank you all for the amazing support. And yeah, we usually try to pick out some names, give some love, some spotlights. Some of you guys who have been supporting us week in and week out. Very grassroots show, and I feel like it's really cool to see some of the support. Like Chrisana, I'm gonna just shout out Chrisana straight away because I feel like every single week Chrisana's getting us some additional gifted subs, which is always like great to see.
Yeah, as I look at it, the show really could not happen without this level of support, especially because, every now and then people look at the show and be like, where's the sponsor this week? It's like, well, we're a weekly show. We just run in perpetuity, and most sponsors, they come in and, they come in for a few weeks, they leave. But, the consistency of the Patreon lets us put on the show week in and week out, regardless of what sponsors may be there. So, thank you so much for coming out to help support.
Tim. Big shout out to you, one of our $5 night shift residents. I mean, the name just looks so much fun to say, to be honest. There was another name in there I wanted to say. I'm gonna do I'm gonna be cheeky here if I'm allowed to, Dan. I'm gonna do a double shout out. Can I do a double shout out?
You can. I implore you to do a quadruple shout out.
Quadruple's too much. No, I think you're pushing the limits here. And even if you said no to the double shot, I was going to do it anyway. But Nick Zalax 11. Because Zalax makes me think chillax. And I don't know if I can chillax here in this heat over in Italy when I don't have air conditionings to keep me all nice and cozy here in the middle of the summer. But yeah, Nick Zalax 11 as well. Thank you so much for the support here.
Yeah, there's a chance, guys, we might lose Jason from the show. Like in Italy right now, everyone's trying to run the A. Well, they don't have AC really, but they're trying to run the fans, right? How many fans do you have, Jason? What's the average fan per room?
We've got 2 actively running most of the day. The power infrastructure here in Italy is really bad, to be honest. The only thing weaker than the power structure here in Italy, I would say, is probably me trying to do push-ups. If I'm honest, and it's already cut out I think like 4 times today, and luckily there's a hospital with a generator like right across the street so they can stay up and running. But who needs a hospital? We need some night shift action. We need me here alive, or else DDK is gonna have to cast the whole day for me.
You just need to put like a get like a bike, a stationary bike with like a dynamo on it.
I have to power my own broadcast.
And then your partner can just like, if it cuts out.
I just want to say that the funniest thing about all the complaining about air conditioners is that when Jason was visiting in the States, all he complained about was like, oh, there's too much AC in the States. It's really aggravating my allergies. So getting whiplash from him complaining about all the air conditioning in the States to going back to Italy and going like, oh, there's a heat wave. I wish I had air conditioning. Like, yeah, air conditioning is pretty good, isn't it?
A, don't have allergies. B, you guys keep it at like 60 degrees. And you know what? Like a nice comfortable 75 to 80 degrees is more than fine. But when you go from outside being like 100 degrees to walking inside being like 65, it kills you. It kills you if you're not used to it. And I haven't, lived back in the States for almost 14 years now. So
damn.
That was rough. That was tough, CP. That was tough. I wish I got that milkshake. It would make my throat feel better, probably.
Fair enough. Well, did we have a 1v1 today? Are we doing Mo 1v1?
We do have a Mo 1v1.
We got the rosters first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, you should fire me from this role. I might have to just go into a caster slot if Jason doesn't survive the power situation. But speaking of power, Abrahams are always a powerful roster. Do you see what I did there? So we need to like talk about this roster here because I feel like they've been getting a bit better week in, week out. Loki W, now buff enjoyers. I feel like they look a little bit more attackable. And are Abrahams the team to do it this week?
Well, one thing about Abrahams is that I'm not entirely sure what happened a little bit earlier in R1 because I had to wake up, actually sleep and then wake up right before the show. But what I'll say for today is that I got a message asking, hey, do you know what the sub is for Abrahams? Because they're going to need one today. And Empty Dreams is out, and Play With Me, who has moved to the coaching role at the departure of Parzival, is also going to be playing today, doing his own form of Ranger. So going to be Play With Me in the most likely position 1 role, where Empty Dreams usually is for Abraham. So yeah, you look at the coach in the lower left, and that is actually sub for today. So again, I don't really know the context because it happened the last 2 hours when I was sleeping, but there you go. Play With Me is coming in today for Empty Dreams. So for Abrahams, maybe that does make them a little bit more vulnerable to Sneaky Team, or maybe it's just the return of Play With Me to a player. The pipeline of going coach to player in Deadlock has been shockingly similar. No, get Play With Me on Hayes. No Page. We need to see Play With Me on Hayes. Even though he's unlikely to play Hayes today, it was a signature hero in the past.
But Paige, we haven't seen Paige in so long. At least let her see us in the roster menu.
No.
Okay. I mean, yep. He's already said it. We're not going to see it. Yeah, man, last time seeing Play With Me, he was with the OG Hayes in Fight Night, if I'm not mistaken, like dating back that far, and really surprised so many people out there and actually made a name for himself, at least in my eyes, when it came to Hayes. I hope there's a world that he plays it. Probably not going to happen, but oh man, that would be so sick to see.
Yeah. Hayes Wraith. It was iconic. Speaking of iconic, let's look at the next roster. Sneaky Team, obviously, having to fight hard against Leviathan, that 2-1 victory. So doing it in a best of 3 against Leviathan is definitely respectable. And you guys are already setting this one up earlier when we were looking at the brackets today.
OCs.
Oh, okay. So there's a reason for this. OCs was previously on Leviathan, where we had everyone Leviathan on Mo for the meme, but OCs, you're no longer Leviathan, requesting the production audible to change OCs over to Venator. I've been seeing OCs a lot on as of late. Yeah, so sorry, if we see OCs on Mo, I will eat a hat of some sort. I don't know if it's gonna be edible, but we'll go there.
I got this. I got us chat. I'm messaging OCs right now. ZP didn't say anything about me influencing this one. I will give OCs money if he gets to play Mo and Krill to see ZP eat a hat. Like, are we talking like a candy hat, or are we talking like an actual?
I don't know.
fabric
I'll
hat?
cross that bridge when I come to it. We're not going to that bridge. It's going to be OCs on some form of position 1. I think you can take that to the bank.
So just very quickly, guys, tell me about Wiki and WeApp, what you guys know about them, because these are not players that we have seen, playing on some of the top tier EU rosters in Night Shift. So is there any info that you have on these guys that we should be aware of?
Well, one thing I'll say here for looking at the qualifiers, I think WeApp was off playing on Lash. In terms of detailed player breakdowns, I couldn't give that offhand. But again, like looking at the qualifiers, Wiki was playing on Shiv in one of the games. So, the way they have it set up, you're probably going to be seeing Captain on frontliners, Maza G on pick. Where if you think last time we saw Maza G in Night Shift, Maza G was playing a lot of Paradox. It's that sort of role. And yeah, I mean, obviously OC's on, position 1, which is, what you would expect from an OC's team.
I think it'd be cool to see Rake though, because like we saw Rake play a ton of like Celeste originally. Obviously came into Leviathan as a sub, and they actually pushed Abrahams really far. I think beat them, and then I think they beat the team. I think it was maybe Fearless Furies, and they went on to play against Abrahams. He did extremely well against them. But seeing him on like Celeste, but now moving him over to, I would say, like a position 2, we've been seeing, looking at R1, has been really cool to see. And I think Rake does have the potential to be a massive playmaker in a roster. And I want to see how he can do in this team, honestly. With him and OCs together, like that's already a really strong combo.
All right, a journey of discovery to see kind of what this new OCs roster can do. We'll be going into the 1v1 shortly, but just off the rip, like what do you guys expect to see here today? Because OCs obviously, I think OCs is clearly like very, very good in terms of the carry role, and I feel like there was a lot of critique that had fallen his teams in the past that maybe didn't have quite the right setup behind him, had maybe a lot of good players, but in terms of the team configuration, obviously a team, as Zeefy just is, a team is it's really important to have people in obviously the right places, and a superstar team doesn't necessarily work because it's a lot more than just individual skill. I thought you were the guy that was going to disappear here today, Jason.
I thought as well, but it's funny enough being more stable.
Oh my god, I'm alone. I'm alone in the room. This is a solo show. Hang on.
I'm just messing with you. I'm still here. I'm just messing with you.
Oh, you are? I was ready to like... it's just me now, guys. And my eyebrows.
Oh man, that's almost as much forehead as I'm used to seeing in the NA portion of the show when Uber's here. I think what we saw with OCs though, he was very vocal in talking about, I swear we're just giving Solomon a heart attack. He was very vocal about when he left the team is that like Sai was someone who would set him up extremely well. Like he needed his kind of like partner in crime to give him information of where he could stand, where he could play from, and where he can really excel from. And I think Maza G needs to do something kind of similar to that on his team here to be effective for OCs, because we obviously saw a big drop off in his performance when playing with Leviathan in his last dance. But I think you need to work around him. You need to facilitate him, and then you already have a strong team. And then obviously Rake has already been playing with him quite a bit in the past as well. I think it has a lot of potential here, honestly, if this team can unlock the features that they can use to win.
All right, well, okay, your thoughts on that after this 1v1 DP, as you've returned. I don't know where you went to. You went to the Shadow Realm and just kind of came back. I don't know what the interdimensional travel did, so where you went exactly, but you're
Line strike.
Look, also, that was very, very close, but Saint back on top. Although, like all professional boxers, I feel like we're reaching the end of Saint's career here. It's like, if I was able to get one, but he looks more mortal. It's like Muhammad Ali pre-war versus Muhammad Ali post-war is what we've been seeing with Saint in recent times.
Jason, notice how ZP dodged my question to talk about the Deadlock. I'm just gonna, you don't have to respond, ZP, but I just wanted to bring attention to that.
Surprised ZP was actually the #1 dodgeball player in Minnesota back in 1995. So we have to remember that. He's got the trophy somewhere in his room, I believe.
I don't think they give trophies to people that young at the time, but never know. Also, let me tell you, I was getting hit by every single ball back in the day.
A wall? Oh, ball. You're like, how are you getting hit by walls? I think you're playing a weird game of dodgeball.
A lot about walls, too.
Tanner,
I was never
leave
like
this man alone.
Yeah,
All right, lads. Well, we've got the pick ban phase coming up here, and tell me about what the priority looks like right now. What has shifted week in, week out?
Well, one of the
Well,
biggest priorities has been Billy has come back in the fray, where Billy is often first pick or first ban. Now, based on how these teams were drafting, even in R1 just on Monday, or rather Tuesday, this is already a little bit different to see Holiday come in as the first ban.
I think what's also interesting is Dorman's still open, but also these teams, and Buff and Joy's included, have been specifically practicing with 3 bans for R1. It's a 10K tournament. You get 3 bans in that system, so maybe a little bit unfamiliar, unused to how they want to go around doing a double ban system. Leaving things open like Doorman, I think it goes like you'd get 2 bans, you get like 2 or 3 picks, you get another ban, then you get like 2 more picks, and you get a final ban. I don't remember actually how it fully works out, but the fact that Doorman's open, Abraham's go for Pocket, I think is actually really interesting here, ZP.
Yeah, and I mean, also Pocket's been variable in priority, where Pocket hasn't even always been first picked when available, but I do wonder if this is just going to be an Abrams Doorman angle coming in. Oftentimes we've been seeing like Abrams Holiday's first 2 picks, but with Holiday off the table, Sneaky Team presumably is going to go more on the Doorman side. See how it goes, and yeah, Doorman gets locked in.
All right, so one thing that jumps off the page is that Silver is not like, there's no mention of Silver, no ban, no first pick, or like not really seeing Silver get prioritized here. I don't think that we've seen. Is there a reason for that specific? Okay, Infernus also before a Silver. So like, talk to me about that. Is Silver kind of a pick that people are turned off by now, or what's going on?
No, it's just not a high prio anymore, right? Like a number 1, top 2. I think the hit to the heal on ultimate, like the reset, the heal that you get, was a massive hit to the sustainability when it comes to fights that a lot of people, I think abuse is the wrong word, ZP, but they definitely use the hell out of that to have the extra longevity to continue to put pressure on quite often.
Yeah, I mean, Silver hasn't fallen off that much. She's basically been present in every draft over the last week. It's just she's not in the first ban, first pick priority. Heroes like GT, Abrams, Doorman, Pocket, they generally get proud. What we've been actually seeing a lot over the last few days is that she'll get hit with mid-stage bans. So a good example here is that I think it's probably likely when you look at the team comp that's been set up so far that maybe Abraham's like takes down the Silver so Sneaky Team can add, or in this case Sneaky Team's gonna take it out. So like either the 2 teams had reasons to ban it. Abraham's just not wanting Sneaky Teams to add like more of a good front line, and then Sneaky Team's case not wanting to use their first pick out of mid-stage bans on it.
Interesting enough as well, not seeing a pick for OCs in top 3, which is kind of different, I want to say. I feel like we've normally seen him being heavily prioritized for the team. But obviously, when you get something like Doorman, Abrams left up, when you ban out Billy, you want to grab that front line, you want to grab that Doorman, and you want to grab the hero, which is actually rose through the ranks quite heavily when it comes to you with Grade Talon, but still not going for an OC's pick here. I mean, Mazda G, Bebop makes sense.
They're going to grab it at the end. I think what's in the cards for OCs is either going to be Warden or Mina. Like those have been the 2 OC's backup picks when Venator is otherwise unavailable. And I think for Abraham's, you don't have to worry about them picking either. So they can pick the OC's hero last in this case.
Yeah, and it's interesting, guys, because I felt like we were in a meta where the front line was heavily prioritized in the top of the draft, and now we're seeing that front line, especially for Abraham's here, the first frontliner is Shiv in 4th pick. So that's another interesting change as we see Paradox come in. So both teams with a pick option, Paradox, Abraham's and Bebop for Sneaky Team.
Is this a Sonya Infernus, do you think, ZP?
Possibly, yeah. I think that's more than likely, unless you're going to have something along the lines where you put Play With Me in that role and then you have Sanya go to the M1. Like, because Play With Me was always like a little bit more active in what Play With Me used to play rather than being pure M1. I don't know what role like Play With Me is going to go in here. If you're just slotting for Empty Dreams, you'd be more like position 1. Otherwise, you could vary it up. But okay, Sneaky Team, this is a little bit interesting, even relative to yesterday, where this is probably an angle where you're going to get the OCs on the Mirage instead.
Uh-oh. I'm just thinking of the win rate, man, over the last weeks. I think people have figured out Mirage a little bit more, though, of not being your primary M1 anymore, being more of like a secondary M1. You kind of get, you work towards like Ricochet, Toxic Bullets, Inhibitor, just to kind of put pressure on the enemy team and allow someone else to actually do the cleanup. You don't necessarily feed up as much farm. But the Geist on top of that, I don't know. I'm still, it's like these 2 heroes combined had like a win rate of like 6 and 40 something in Night Shift over like a few week period. And also the Rem pick coming in last for Abraham's. I mean, I feel like we've also seen Rem get a lot more play due to the change to the tag along, the fact that you can burst heal anyone you jump to now instead of just that initial target makes him a lot stronger. But at the same time, still very weak, still very susceptible to being picked off. And I don't think we've seen necessarily the success that I thought we would have seen out of Rem.
I got to highlight, guys, that we only have Shiv the front line for Abrahams. And what's the feeling on this? Because I feel like this is quite counter to what we've seen in the previous weeks.
I mean, I think for Abrahams, the entire goal of this comp, especially when you get into earn fights, is that, how much do you need a frontline when everything is ticking you down? Whether it be, you have Flame Dash, you have Affliction, you have Time Bomb out for the Paradox. Like, this is just pure on, we are flooding the zone with AoE damage and let things sort it out after. Sneaky Team, meanwhile, when it's not an ult fight, actually has like a way, way better team fight overall. Like, so long as you're not able, you don't get stuck in a corner with Infernus, you have more ways of setting up picks, you have more ways of getting an advantage in smaller skirmishes, whereas Abraham's, their team, I look at this and this is just pure on don't step in the circle at earn fight, pretty much.
Yeah,
don't step in the circle. Interesting. Not wrong, but interesting.
We had Sneaky Team ban both Silver and Billy, so there's like 60% of like the top picks that you'd want to get for the front line. Victor has disappeared after having so much priority. Obviously, there were some changes. Do you think that's people are undervaluing Victor right now?
No, not really. I mean, I think Victor, when Victor has been getting picked, his actual priority in the draft has gone lower and lower. And generally, it's you see him get picked in comps where your presence for things like earn fight, it's going to be a little bit less, and you need someone to be able to go in and die and create space. But people have seemingly been trending a bit away from Victor over the last week.
All right. Well, what's the feeling? Who's ahead on the draft here between these two teams for each of you guys?
Honestly, am I allowed to see the team names attached to it or not? Like, am I looking at this like team list? Like I can't see who's who, because I think for me, knowing who's playing what kind of does imbalance this game slightly towards Abrahams for me. I mean,
so
the amount of damage they're going to have is. I think Abrahams have a better draft based on them being Abrahams. Okay. If I saw like Sneaky Team playing this, I'd be a little bit more concerned. But just like the amount of damage they have, and I feel like Abrahams have shown they can play without going for like frontline earn heavy compositions. Like we saw a few weeks back with Leviathan, I think against Abrahams. Leviathan drafted a comp specifically around trying to get all these dunks, get all these earns. Abrahams did a comp that was like, okay, you can have them. We're just going to take objectives around the map instead. So I think for me, their name attached to a composition like this makes you think they have a better draft for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just kind of depends on execution between the two teams. For Sneaky Team, you have a comp here that is basically designed to make life really miserable for Abrahams at most non-team fight parts of the game, whether it be pickoffs that start with a bird, pickoffs that start with Doorman doing shenanigans. You got Abrams that can put people out of position. And all the while, you're going, okay, OC's farm. Like, just continue to get super farmed on Mirage. And if you're able to actually have like really good skirmishes, you get into late game, you have a really farm Mirage and things go well. Meanwhile, for Abrahams, their entire strategy is just don't get picked. If you don't get picked, you show up and force the team fights. You're probably not going to lose team fights with the comp that you have if you're actually able to get there all six with everyone having ults up. Now, in a best of one, I do think it's a little bit interesting because there's a lot of things that can happen to where Sneaky Team could actually win this, if you have a good game off the Bebop, if you have some mistakes being made by Abrahams. But if Abraham plays relatively mistake-free gameplay, then I don't know if Sneaky Team actually wins when both teams collide against each other. So to me, I think this makes for a pretty interesting matchup, but a lot is going to depend on the playmaking potential of Sneaky Team.
I'm worried, ZP. I'm worried on if OC's playing Mirage and they're just going to have them farm and try to be a late game threat. We've not seen that work from Mirage in I feel like a very long time, honestly. I'm also worried about the GT in general, where I think we've only really had one team, and that's Buff Enjoyers, and that's Cosmetical in particular, really work well and show off the highs of what a GT can bring to a roster. The amount of raw damage Cosmetical was getting with his birds of like plus 50, plus 60, plus 70 spirit power on his stacks, I don't think we've seen be replicated in Night Shift so far. So I kind of worry about that, of like actually unlocking the power of a GT, because obviously you can sit range, you can still get farm, you can still do your power shots, but is it going to be nearly as threatening as a plus 70 GT? That's what kind of worries me. But I see in terms of a Bebop hooking you into a Spirit Snare, and obviously like an Abrams and a Dorman there to support you can still do a lot of work.
I think there's a key point though for this GT pick is that they got GT a little bit later in the draft. Like we were seeing teams that were losing with GT, you were picking GT first. And as a result, you weren't getting some of the other premium picks along with it. In this case, they were able to get GT after getting Abrams and Doorman. So I feel like you've given up a little bit less team power for the opportunity cost to play GT. Like all the snowball factors for like, okay, GT needs a good start and all that still exists, but you didn't give up some of the other premium picks in the draft to necessarily get to the GTs. So I think, for Sneaky Team, it may be a little bit more of an upside for the GT just by pure virtue of the fact that you got it a little bit later.
So where do we feel like OCs fits into the picture? Like, what are the win conditions? Is OCs like a major part of the win condition? I mean, it feels like silly to say that he's not in some respect, but what has to kind of function well for OCs to be able to really peak in this game?
Can I maybe be the pessimist here? I don't think OCs really has the carry potential on his team with a Mirage. If he was on Venator, if he's on maybe Wraith, I feel like the potential, or even like Warden, he has so much more carry potential. I think maybe when you get to like the 40k mark, if you can get like Echo Shard, Dust Devil, you have a lot of extra survivability that you need. You have a lot of more interrupts that you could use as well to disrupt the enemy team. But honestly, ZP, I don't see him having that same level of impact as like a Mina in this case. Like the pressure he puts on mid game and Mina has been relatively unmatched by any other Mina player out there.
Well, we did get an update from production because we're waiting on the players, and they were listening into the conversation who's playing what. Rather than being OCs on Mirage, where that's what we've seen OCs play on teams where it's been drafted in recent times. For Sneaky Team, it's going to be OCs on Geist in this case. Okay. So it's going to be Wiki on Mirage, OCs on Geist, and I mean some of the same things still kind of come up in that. Okay, how active is OCs going to be? But I still think Geist could be a reasonable win condition if you get ahead of the game.
Definitely,
I mean, clearly from how this team is set up, Abraham's your win condition is game stays even into late game, you win. Like you have a better fight if you are even souls or ahead. Sneaky Team, every part of this kind of oozes. This is a team that needs to get ahead early, and if you get ahead early, you rely on Geist and Mirage to bring you over the finish line.
That's okay, definitely much better.
Okay, Jason.
I'd say much happier to hear that, honestly, ZP and Dan thinking about it, because I think him on Geist being fed farm and having your like second M1 hero be Mirage is much more in line with where we've been seeing the success of Mirage in general the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, because you can play Geist in a variety of ways. Teams went away, or we, I guess, have seen less of the hard carry Geist. But I feel like if anyone's going to kind of show that, OCs can definitely play that, safe lane, and then maybe Mirage on the other lane, and then you've got kind of like an interesting hit squad between Abrams, Doorman, Grey Talon, and Bebop. They can really command the mid lane and also the invades and so on. And because I think that's the thing, right, for OCs. If he's playing hard carry Geist, presumably he's going to need his team to keep the pressure off of him so that he's able to farm, because Geist is not very mobile, can be quite susceptible to getting ganked, especially if that's executed well. And Abrahams have a lot of good tools, I think, to do that. So, sometimes, one way you can frame games is if let's say like building to that late game for Sneaky Team with OCs on like an insane Geist hyper carry game, that's like a very dangerous place in the game to get to. It kind of puts it on Abrahams to prevent that from happening in what they are trying to do. So are you guys seeing the game in that way? Or?
It's a good point. I think we've seen when OCs is on more mobile heroes, like more mobile carries, teams also emphasize ganking him a lot more. I think we've seen a lot more teams send like 2-3 players constantly to his lane to just kill him and keep him behind. And Geist is definitely susceptible to those ganks. But are they going to see Geist and be like, okay, we don't have to worry about him too much? That's another question. But also the support that he should have of like Doorman being near him to give protection, maybe even Bebop to help out, maybe even I'd probably assume not Mirage. I think it's going to be easier said than done, but I think he's definitely more of a susceptible hero than normal here, ZP.
It's going to be interesting. Also, I just got an update from production in terms of who's playing. We thought Play With Me would be coming in the sub today for Empty Dreams. That's what we were told by Together before the broadcast. And actually, Empty Dreams is still in. So no roster changes for Abrahams whatsoever. Your normal scheduled broadcast.
All right, well, there we go. Abrahams against Sneaky Team. A Sneaky Team with a 2-1 over Leviathan to qualify here. So it should be a banger of an opening best of one here to see who's going to be up against Buff and Joyous in that money match. Take it away, gents.
Can I ask a question, ZP, before we hop into it? For anyone in chat watching, the Sneaky Team logo Is that some sort of like Yu-Gi-Oh character? I swear it looks like a card from Yu-Gi-Oh, like the Blue Eyes White Dragon Guardian or something like that.
No, I think you're thinking of I think it was called the Celtic Guardsman or something along those lines. And I only know that from meme videos about Yu-Gi-Oh. It's something along those ends. But in any case, apparently Empty Dreams is only going to be here for the best of one. But then Empty Dreams has something coming up where Empty Dreams will not be available for the best of three should Abrahams win, is what I'm taking from info I just heard. So you may still see Play With Me here today, just not in the Challenger match. But of course, for that to be relevant at all, Abrahams have to get through Sneaky Team.
Yeah, and I think it'll be... Honestly, I kind of want to see him come back and play. I was kind of sad to see him actually drop out. To be fair, it did feel like he kind of hit a skill ceiling of what at least he was playing, and he wasn't really able to keep pushing through and keep improving like other players were. What's up, CP?
No, I was going to say, it could be that, or it's also, I think Play With Me has a reasonable stream. I think Play With Me just went the, I'm just going to focus on my stream, bro, route. Kind of similar to, I think, like players like Fargareco did the same thing, which is why, like, you only see Fearless Furies when you have, like, a larger EU tournament. Like, some of the players, I guess, they just feel... Well, also, that was a huge gut shot. Like,
she's got yeeted.
But yeah, Deadlock's in a weird state for some of the players where, you know, because there's not too many tournaments, some of them are just like, hey, man, I'm just a streamer for now, you know?
I wish I could do that. I mean, to be fair, you'll probably make more money streaming than playing. But for, you know, for some people out there, like I think there's a couple of names out there we're thinking in North America, like for instance, Buds. We're hoping to see him on a team one day, but it's definitely better for him to just stream than to try to play in a pro team at the moment. Though now that I think about it, I don't think I've seen him streaming quite a long time, ZP. I don't know if you have or if you're still like in contact with him.
Yeah, actually, I was just playing a game with him the other day, but he's taking a bit of a break right now, from what I understand. I don't know if it's permanent or not, but you know, long time streaming, sometimes you need breaks. But let's talk about the game as is. No real surprise that Weap just dead. About to talk about the Bebop mid lane, and we just see Weap getting run over by Saint off on the side. But in terms of who's playing what, no real surprises here, really on either side. Although I guess one thing that's interesting is that you got Empty Dreams in the pocket, Arzo on the Ven.
I mean, yeah, Arzo's been playing the M1 carry for them for the last few weeks. I think one interesting thing for me is to see the Together back on Shiv, because it's been mostly Sonya playing Shiv for the team, but that's also been in correlation with Together playing like a front line, like a Billy or something like that. So it's not too surprising to see that, but it's been a long time since I feel like we've seen Together Shiv. And I think sometimes people forget how damn good he was at it. I mean, there was a game that we were casting when One Man Bombshell where he went like 16-0 and just absolutely decimated Buffenjors back then. Obviously, Buffenjors did win the whole thing at the finals. A very, very good Shiv player. I think for me, it's about how is Infernus going to play? Because it's not very often we see Infernus these days, though I know we've seen Hoop playing it actually in some scrims recently. I
mean, Infernus, I think, has been sneaking into games just purely because, you know, in terms of earn fight, Infernus is quite good, and Infernus still has the ability to put pressure on lanes and, you know, be annoying to actually go after. Like, Infernus isn't a hero that, you know, dies super easily, so you do get a measure of consistency on top of the, you know, earn fight benefit.
Well, my eyes are going to be looking towards Rake in the mid lane with Mazza G in particular. I think Raytown Bebop can be a very strong lane, can do a lot of damage. You get poked down quite low, you get hooked in, and then eventually you just get picked off. Especially up against like the Shiv Paradox. I think actually, I don't know. I think it's pretty decently matched between both of them because you still have a lot of pick potential on Abraham's side to do a lot of poke. But what I want to see mostly is like Rake when we get to these first birds, and you know, maybe honestly ZP, and I wouldn't, you know, doubt it. Maybe I overemphasize sometimes when it comes to getting your spirit skin online really early with these kills on the birds. But I feel like we've also been just treated to some like AAA S+ tier Greytown consistently out of Cosmetical with buff enjoyers.
No, I think it's fair though. It's like even from the eye test, GT, we don't usually win with the hook sneakiness coming out of Mazza G early. It's like enough for the kill, maybe not, but you know, those are the types of plays you have to go for on Bebop to create opportunities. And you know, as you look at how this team comp has performed Sneaky Team, you're gonna need to be seeing more of that from Mazza G as the game goes on. But taking a look
back to the GT point, if you can. I wanted to actually finish the conversation if we can, because I think it's a little bit unfair to measure all GTs against Cosmetical, but he kind of has become the standard of what an excellent GT is.
Well, I just think GT is like really easy to dive on, even as we saw in NA as ooh, Captain. falling on the other end. But for GT, there's a lot of vulnerability to him, even when you're having a good game. So generally speaking, I feel like his win rate is just going to be worse if you don't have like the snowball of like basically dropping nukes into the late game. So yeah, I mean, again, I think for me, it's kind of one of those, okay, if it's at 15 minutes and you have plus 70, you're probably going to win the game. It's at 15 minutes and you're plus 30, it's even. And you're at 15 minutes and you have 0 stacks, like the win rate is actually quite poor. Although
it could be like a win more and a lose more.
Yeah.
Like a win more hero and a lose more hero, depending on where your stacks are at any given point. But right now, I mean, we finally see OC is able to chime back in, get a kill into Arzo, because it was a pretty decent lead for Abrahams here 5 minutes in. 2K at the moment was 3K before. We're definitely seeing this right lane have some strong domination right now to Sonya and Saint together. The Infernus Rem combo, not something you normally see, but Matt is putting in work here, punishing Weap.
Yeah, a little bit of a tough start for Sneaky Team as far as how some of these skirmishes have gone down. Still not out of sight, but the problem is that as we kind of step in the draft, Sneaky Team is running a comp that actually needs to be ahead early, and instead, Captain might be getting run down right now. You see Sanya taking the opportunity, going for the climb, chasing Abrams round and round. Rem in the back throws the pillow. However, evasion was good enough. Buy some time for Doorman, played by Weap, to get into the fray. See the pressure comes in for Weap, is now suddenly Captain in for round 2.
Oh my gosh, he's getting burned down alive, being chased under the tower as well. The parry comes on through. The rest of Barrel was a good pickup here for Sneaky Team to deal with him, but Sonya is on a tear. 6.1k souls. Saint at 5k. I mean, this 5k lead, or 7k lead now that Abrahams has is pretty much heavily being based off this right-hand side.
This is bad. This is all sorts of bad, because it's not just that Sneaky Team is getting run over a bit in lane right now, Jason. It's that their team comp is not built to actually play significantly from behind. This is the team comp that needs to get ahead early in the game. So to say this is a bit of a disaster would be an understatement. You see the early headhunter getting picked up from Sanya.
I will say this though, I think one caveat to this match is that these teams have been playing all day today. There was, group stage for R1 is still happening at the moment. I know Abrahams and Sneaky Team both had to play as well, even Buff Enjoyers. So it's been tough trying to keep that level of focus throughout the entire day. And I think we're starting to see it crumble for Sneaky Teams. Abrahams continuing to build this lead even further. Oasis goes down another time. Together takes down Mazaji towards the mid lane. And Sonya getting another kill into Weap. That's 3 quick kills for Abrahams. And we're almost approaching a 10k lead here 7 minutes in, ZP. Stat check territory in full effect.
Yeah, I mean, also you can't look at this to wonder, okay, you're GT, how are you going to get stacks right now? Like, you've already, the game is farting out of hand. That is an 8.7k Infernus at the beginning. And it's just the difference in laning ability between the two teams feeling pretty profound here at the beginning. And again, it's not that Sneaky Team is bad. They literally were able to take down Leviathan at 2-1. But when you're a brand new team, and there's just inefficiencies, perhaps in communication, or players haven't played together as much, it's just easy to fall behind and deadlock and have things snowball against you. And now for Sneaky Team, they're really gonna have to find a way to bring things back in their favor. Nap time in up from Saints over here on the left, and really just making space for another Guardian take.
What does worry me for them though is it's Abrahams, man. They're tried and tested for such a long time now, one of our longest setting teams in EU, and they just know how to run away with the game on you. I mean, Sonic, he'd just be left alone on the right hand side, and who can stop him? Like, who is going to stop him from taking a Walker inevitably? Even though the damage has been reduced from like the flame dash on a Walker, no one can go toe to toe against him. You have to send multiple players, and right now Empty Dreams, he's going to fall to Wiki. That was a much needed kill, to be perfectly honest, but they're still going to lose some objectives around the map.
Yeah, I mean, not only was it a good kill, also the frogs just kind of get thrown into the ether, but elsewhere, Rayek in all sorts of danger. 0 stacks on the bird and on fire, falling off the bridge. The general tempo of the game completely in Abraham's favor, but man, you talk about being ahead of the game. Sanya is actually server admin status. Infernus doesn't necessarily get played as hard carry the way he used to, but in this sort of instance, this is kind of a throwback to old school Infernus's running lobby. I mean, also, forget net worth. Can we see the overall damage done in this game? Because it seems like it's just been absurd from Sanya within the lane. And it is.
Yeah, I mean, look at Captain, 1k compared to the 7k in lane. Obviously, I mean, getting constantly pressured, it's not really easy to have much damage beyond that. 4.2 as well here for Weap. And again, like Sonya, if he keeps his pressure on, I just don't see a roadie come back for Sneaky Team, honestly, because he can continue to take away the farm on the right-hand side. Also, that right-hand side gives us access to a ton of tier 2 camps, also the doubles as well. Like, you lose so much control of the map and so much economy if you lose your strong lane, which Sneaky Team has done. And Sonya's just going to continue to clean up here, especially with the headshot booster, the extra healing he's going to get in lane, heal bane on top of that, spirit lifesteal. Like, I don't know how you take this man out of this lane anymore.
Man, I just look at the Abrams damage. Just think of the Abrams voice lines. Like, let's see what this book can do. He's like, bring this book back to the library. None of this is actually working, or just grab the wrong book. Because, man, I mean, and again, as you point out, the damage stat there not too surprising, given the lane that Captain's been up against. It's just been basically harassed out from minute 0. But this is a brutal spot for Sneaky Team to be in, especially for their team comp, where I actually think it may be early, but it's close to over, as Wiki's just getting dove in the harshest of ways.
I mean, we're looking at 13k 10.5 minutes in. The game should be over at this rate, bar a massive misstep at Abrahams. Even a hyperline coming on through as well. The flame dash on top of him gets hooked back into the walker, taking a lot of damage. The combustion coming on through. Gonna heal up quite a bit here. 500 HP from that one as well with the support of Saint. But eventually the raid boss has fallen at 14,000 souls, and that walker was very low on life as well.
I mean, there's a point there where I was like, is he gonna die? It was a little bit of question, but yeah, there are some fights that you can't take even as Sanya in this game, but the overall map state has been immensely in favor of Abraham's here so far. Now, Urn is coming up in 40 seconds. We'll see how the play goes around that. I think, while it's going to be comeback Urn, there's a world for Sneaky Team, or rather for Abraham's, that you just focus on getting walkers down. Obviously, you want to get slots up and just continue to help on map control. And, you look at soul allocation, the only upside for Sneaky Team is OC's as at around 10k, but that's the average for Abraham's, and certainly, a far cry from the 14k that Sanya's at the moment.
I also do worry about this first Urn, because if I'm not mistaken, it can't spawn as a comeback Urn on Sneaky Team's side of the map, so it has to be neutral, meaning Abrahams can get a lot more souls for themselves. That's to take the walker, indeed, with Empty Dreams securing this one, with Sonya near as well. Oh, okay, it is.
It spawns as
for some reason I thought it was always neutral, the first one, and then from there on,
because the rules used to be that a long time ago, and then it got changed to where you can have comeback no matter what.
I mean, to be fair, we haven't seen a comeback Urn, I think, as the first Urn in a very long time as well, before the most recent Urn changes.
The problem is, I mean, when you're this far behind, how are you going to get the Urn to the turn-in? Like, there's multiple ways that Abrahams can play this. They can either go for trade, they can go for just an immediate team fight win after Urn is turned in, or you could just intercept the Urn before it's dunked, because, of course, you only get benefits like resistance for the team when the Urn is actually turned in. You don't get it, prior to.
Yeah, and you can see the amount of forces Abrahams are keeping on the right-hand side, too, to prevent that from happening. The thing is, you can't even shove the lane to even get remotely near the turn-in, because Sanya's constantly keeping that lane shoved. Now, the mid lane also is under threat of the walker, too. And Sonya, like, look at him. He just takes out the wave. He has no chance. And we have someone to pick up this farm, which is not your ideal target to give this farm over to. But the thing is, they've had to pull OCs back here to help defend the mid lane walker. And they're leaving Wiki to actually farm the soul lane on the left-hand side. And Arzo, who we've even talked about, I think a single time this whole game here, ZP, is quietly sitting at 13,000 souls for himself.
Yeah, Arzo's just been sent inside lane. And, maybe a little bit under farm than you expect, but I think it's more so is that it just worked out that Sanya has been in a bunch of key plays and result gone high up on farm. What does Sanya do? Is Sanya going for the hyperline right now? I think Sanya's going for a hyperline play. Look at the minimap. Where Sanya's at. I don't think they got the hyperline, but they do go back, force the hotel guest out of WeApp. And now this might be turning to a fight pretty deep in enemy territory.
I think one thing I'm not a huge fan of, though, is that I guess their lead is still extending. I don't know. I'm not like, I feel like Sonya could just run this entire game by himself if he was in the left lane now and they put Arzo on the right lane and just have Sonya continue to get more and more fed, because he's been sharing a lot of the souls, though. It's a pretty easy opportunity for a kill here, especially against the burn up. You see Captain below half HP immediately forced back every time they think about going for an Urn here. But I mean, they're also creating a double threat. They're also not banking everything on Sonya by having Arza continue to farm now at 15,000 souls.
Well, I think what we're seeing here, overall, they're stacking on the right lane to make it even harder to actually get an Urn turn in, because this is the way you fight against comeback Urn, is that you just make it very hard to actually traverse the Urn to the Urn turn in area. So that's why you're seeing Abrahams, and particularly Sanya, just camp out on the right lane, because Urn turn in is over to the right. And yeah,
A little bit of a gank happening on the left-hand side. Arzo might be getting caught out here by OCs coming on through, as we do see him look to escape. For the soul change has been used. Still keeping his distance here. Looks like he will fall, though. Not going to be able to escape this one, but it should be go time for the rest of Abrahams to push the mid lane walker. Instead, they actually retreat back to help out. But it looks like they're not going to be able to get the kill here in time, though. I mean, it doesn't seem to matter. Together gets a kill on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I mean, he got the kill at the base guardian together. I can't imagine how many knives just got stuck into Doorman, but that'd be around 2 or 3. Elsewhere, nap time coming on down. Rem going, hey, would you like to dream about frogs? Because that's exactly what's going to happen. Wiki, down 1 HP, will sit the final finish, comes in here, gets the parry, but yeah, absolutely dead to Saint to finish off the affliction, as Al coming out a little bit later into the fight. But I mean, this has been kind of brutal, Jason. I mean, Sneaky Team, the team comp they have just is not really equipped to play in this game anymore. They need to get ahead early. It was anything but.
They're losing a walker here mid too, while chasing these kills on the left-hand side, as they were able to trade 1-for-1 at the end. They lose the walker. They still been unable to turn in this Urn. And Abrahams are continuing to grow this lead. We're 26k, 16 minutes in, ZP. What is happening?
Domination is what's happening. I mean, you have a bad lane phase. You have an Infernus that, frankly, he do whatever he wants, just continually interrupting. Because of Combustion coming on out, and take a look. Maybe this is going to be enough damage to take down Sanya, but if you take down Sanya, what's going to happen when the rest of the team shows up here in just a moment? And Sanya's not dead, by the way.
Heal Bane. Extra 300 healing kept him alive there through the ticks of the scarabs and the damage and burst of the Jin's mark. The Urn, though, has been picked up for Abrahams, and has actually been turning, honestly, for Sneaky Team. You can't even contest this one. So Abraham's going to continue to get further and further ahead. And honestly, ZP, looking at this, if I'm Abrahams, I kind of like don't bother going for mid. I would not want to make a massive mistake here to allow Sneaky Team to get back in, even with a lead like this of over 30k. You pretty much just can flex your lead on them. I mean, Rem's at 21k, Saint's at 21,000 souls. He's almost doubling some of the souls on the enemy side.
We need a Rem greed check. Golden statue buff meter immediately. Like, Rem's looking too happy. There's usually a backstory to that. And then when you're stuck having to defend creeps this deep in your territory, I mean, you're able to do it. Empty Dreams definitely way too aggro in this instance, but
got caught during the dash. I mean, he's got Sonya here to help out as well. Yeah, it should be fine. Thrown back into the base.
Oh, he's trying to go back to the door. It gets slammed in his face. The cooldown was up. I think he's still gonna get out, but that is actually far too funny.
Play though for Together to attempt that, but a great shot by Weeap for sure to not allow him to escape, even though he did get away either way, and they turn it into a kill onto Wiki. Urn has spawned back in. The lead has continued to grow for Abrahams, and I mean, right now they're setting their eyes on pretty much what's to come up next. They're best of 3 up against Buff and Joris. Even though this game hasn't finished off just yet, it's still feeling like it's going to be that going that way here. ZP is now mid boss is going to be taken. Sneaky Team, I feel like you just have to contest this. Like honestly, there's no reason not to. Maybe turn the Urn, but
we need the Doorman point of view here, because if anyone's gonna make a hero play here, it's probably gonna be Doorman. Door comes up. Let's see where the card is. Captain is over and in. Nap time coming on out. Who's gonna get the crystals? First one, the Sneaky Team. Second one, the Sneaky Team. Sanya picking up the last. However, now Sneaky Team, you have to get out. You got the Doorman door escape. Can you slam the door in time? You still got one rejuve in the bank. And actually, Sneaky Team coming out a little bit ahead here at the very beginning, but you know, all in all, Jason, not the worst for Sneaky Team. Like, yeah, you lose 2 people at the end. Maybe you're going to lose OCs, but it's way better than giving up 3 rejuve crystals to Abrahams.
I was going to say, the fact that you can get these comeback souls is actually like pretty strong, honestly, for Sneaky Team. But the problem is they only get 2 kills. They're still going to be down for a decent amount of time. They're going to lose another Urn. And at least for them, the left lane wasn't shoved, so there's going to be no walker take. I mean, a decent fight, but a fight necessarily Abrahams didn't need to take. And I think Sneaky Team overall do come out ahead in that one.
Now, coming out ahead is kind of an interesting thing where it's like, well, congratulations. You didn't die by going into the fire. You're still very much in the frying pan when you are 38k behind with the team comp that Sneaky Team has. Also, it's 20 minutes in, your GT has plus 20. So, as we kind of laid out talking about the draft, Sneaky Team, they ran a comp that need to get good mileage off of picks, to give themselves a chance of winning some of these bigger team fights. Didn't happen. Instead, they're the ones that fell behind. And, they have a comp here, Jason, that, for the most part is running in fear from Abraham's and, mostly hoping for mistakes. But Abraham's going to have to make many, many mistakes in a row for Sneaky Team to get back into this game.
Yeah, and again, I don't really see that happening. I think going for mid boss, it wasn't needed out of the Abrahams. I think they're just trying to force some sort of objective to pull Sneaky Team away from their base. Oh my god, look how fast those legs are running. Insane Bolt heading back towards the spawn as the push comes on through here for this last walker. In the meantime, OC's trying to take a guard, which he will get, but they're going to be losing a lot more on the left-hand side.
This should help. Sneaky Team, all in all, I still think pretty successful week for them by virtue of just coming together and actually being able to take down Leviathan in the qualifier, which was BO3, by the way. So it wasn't even a BO1 sort of flash in the pan. But I think the problem is, and maybe the draft had something to do with it. Like, we don't entirely know the full amount of hero pool and who is what, but oftentimes you'll see in Deadlock when a team comes out and surprises with an unexpected result, but they're new. You end up getting data on them and be like, okay, well, we're gonna change up the draft, and if we don't let them have this thing, it's gonna be fine. In this case, I think back to this draft, Jason, and the one very interesting thing to me relative to drafts we've seen is that the Holiday got taken out early. I think Mazza G is a much bigger threat on Holiday, in all likelihood, than Mazza G is on Bebop.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's a fair assumption for sure, or a fair statement. I shouldn't say necessarily an assumption. The Urn has been initially put in here at a wee out, but Sneaky Team have lost out quite a few players, though the Urn has been capped on. Abrahams, they gave up the controller around the actual Urn, and Al going to be coming on through from above. I think it might have caught a stun onto one. That's Arzo. Sneaky Team, with the initial kill, they have the right lane, getting the Walker and on together. Not too bad of a fight. But the thing is, they eventually become overwhelmed, and they cannot win out in the end from that fight.
Also, we need to get our golden statue check. I don't know if we got before. I think we had a bunch of, the team fights just exploded, just like GT exploded, just trying to take the subway. But if we could get the golden statue update, we need to see just how large this REM is. Oh god,
it's pretty big. That's pretty big.
Now, hopefully chat is reasonable and doesn't call Rem any names whatsoever in response to seeing Rem's blatant gambling addiction within this game.
We need to rename Rem to Lotu, I think. No, I'm kidding. But 79, man, that's crazy. 30,000 souls. I wish we could see what buffs Saint's currently sitting on, because it is ginormous. The little man.
Little man with a big appetite.
Yeah. Just a black hole of buffs. Oh, there we go. 42% max ammo, 7.5% cooldown reduction, 23.5% fire rate, 495 max health, 32 spirit power, and 36% weapon damage.
Elsewhere, Sneaky Team, at this point, Jason, struggling to leave the base in one piece. Also, I love the little bit of a note there where we have drops the door for escape. Sanya goes through the door and flame dash, comes back out and just, leaves a carpet of flame here. Like, yeah, you can take your door. You're just going to die if you do so. But Abrahams, they are in to the base. Shrine's going to be going down shortly, and there's not anything Sneaky Team can do about it.
Yeah, I feel like there's been nothing they could do about this for the last 10 minutes of time. They had some glimpses of hope with the mid-boss, with the Urn turn-in. Inevitably, it will be going the way of Abrahams here. The size of impact comes in at a captain, but most likely towards his death, being chased down by Empty Dreams, flying through the sky, the cloak as well, and Together's going to be there to prevent him from returning back to base. Even going to base himself here for Empty Dreams. With those 3 kills coming on through. I mean, the Shrine should fall, though. They did lose a big player out of Sanya.
Yeah, I mean, Infernus is mortal under very specific circumstances, and you know, the interesting thing here, surely they leave with at least one shrine. Like, you know, Sneaky Team, they take down 2, Empty Dreams is kind of low towards the end, but if Abraham just doesn't get a shrine here, which doesn't look to be the case, I mean, look, as far as defenses go, that was far more than what could have been expected. Also, late hook on the Together. Wait, Together was just hanging out. In base, about to eat a point blank owl, plus 10 over the rag.
I mean, 56 seconds, mid boss in 20. There's a world that Sneaky Team have a 2-man advantage here for mid boss. Also looking for the urn turn, and I mean, this is actually potential for a big comeback at a Sneaky Team, if I'm honest with you, ZP. I'm not going to say they're completely back in it, but this is a huge flip around when it comes to souls. I mean, they were down, you know, almost 50,000. Now they're under 30K, down to 25. It's becoming doable. It's not necessarily doable yet, but it's becoming more likely that they can come back.
I think the team comp Sneaky Team is running, probably not. Like, I think if you did a deep dive on the last team fight, it would probably be a lot of Abrahams just being silly about things. Now, that's how you throw games, especially in a BO1. I think the problem is that the Abraham's team comp, though, is still, like, overwhelmingly strong in an actual legitimate team fight that it's still pretty tough for Sneaky Team. But that's still not a result that should have happened. Like, coming in with that level of stat difference, everyone healthy, at least one shrine should have been taken down. The fact that both shrines are still up is just complete misplay from Abrahams. Because even losing the team fight or trading out the way they did, if the focus was get a shrine efficiently, you would have been able to get out with a shrine.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree, and I think it's definitely obvious, I think, to most people out there that probably shouldn't have played out the way it actually did. I think Abraham's playing a mix of cautious but also cocky at the same time, funny enough. I mean, cautious in the terms of not want to let comeback urns come through, being a little bit careful on trying to brute force some of these walkers down, and then you see a play like that and you get a little bit confused. But the mid boss, it has been started off. It's going to be finished off extremely quickly. Right now, Counter being forced to zip down the mid lane here to defend this, but they actually come off the mid boss here with the Scream and get a catch on the Mazda G, and the robot, the Stone Golem, should be falling. Potentially some more kills here, actually, and if Sneaky Team loses on too much, they're going to be losing on Shrines, mid boss, and potentially the game.
Yeah, and again, not too much to do about it. Abraham saying this team fight far more seriously. Quick engage into the back line, and now 3 dead. Should be a free mid boss. Again, we can get the Weap point of view to see if there's going to be Doorman heroics, but
I see the Doorman.
Don't know if it's ultra likely. In fact, they're out hunting for Weap. They're aware that Weap could go in and go for that. Instead, we got the chase down from Together onto the Doorman. Gets hit with the hotel guest for good measure, but still being chased down by Tass as this is happening. As yeah, Arzo's just sitting here as Crescenta 14 drops 10 more subs. Thank you so much, Crescenta 14.
Dan, they're back. 10 gifted. You talked about it before.
Yeah.
Okay, that was Dan. That was DDK with the lovely yeah that I have to soundboard later on.
Together is back for revenge, by the way, in on the shrines. Like, Together is just in the enemy. Is that Together solo? Can we get the Together cam right now? Like, what in the world is going on at shrines? Like, this cannot be. We just got Together and just first the world. A little bit of limit testing. Okay, now Together's been joined by his team, but
I think the limits of Sneaky Team's patience have been tested for sure here. Watching the movement on Together, able to dance around, take down these shrines. First one's falling, the second one shortly after. The stage 1 patron should be falling as well. 3 Reju Crystal for Abrahams to use. No affliction to throw down as they get a catch on the Captain of Mazda G now. But they still have the Aerodomini out of our zone. That is going to hurt. Paired in with a nap time. Your Sneaky Team, I mean, you're going to have to throw everybody at this patron to keep it alive. But it's not an easy task.
No, I mean, look, we've been filling time, but this game, even with Abraham's seemingly messing around on that first attempt on shrines, it's been pretty over. I mean, just off the comps that both teams have, you know, Sneaky Team vastly missed their win condition, and second stage patron about to go down. Abraham's getting the right to face buff enjoyers once more here in EU DLNS. But hey, credit the Sneaky Team, brand new team on the market, got through Leviathan. Beats a bit of a brick wall in Abraham's, though, on their first week within the night shift.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll continue to have them around in future night shifts, because I'm not gonna lie, it is nice to not have Abrahams and Leviathan playing the best of one for week number 65. It's great to have some new challengers and great to see OC is able to put together a new team that does have, you know, some level of success, and hopefully continue to have some success in R1 throughout the rest of the week. That's going to round it out here, gentlemen. We're going to have the best of one now done and dusted, and we now have our money match ready to go, with Abrahams looking to reclaim their title up against Buff Enjoyers.
Yes. Well, that was a game, I guess. That was not what I feel like I expected. I felt like there's a lot of build up, but it just didn't deliver. And sometimes I guess that happens. I felt like the best thing that happened in that game was there was two things that come to mind. One was the 10 gifted from Chrisana, so that was pretty sick. And then the second thing was together, you know, with the daring killing blow escape into the door that's closed. Still lived though, but
face planted into the wall for sure there. But he escaped anyways, with just some really good movement. But honestly, I think the story of the game for me though, Dan, was actually like the Rem and Furnace pair up on the right hand side. Sonya and Saint just put on a clinic here, and I don't know if that's just the power of these two heroes together, you know, paired together, or just the power of Sonya Saint up against their opponents, because, you know, Captain and Weab just, it felt like they didn't have a chance in that lane.
Yeah, so I was going to ask about Infernus, because Infernus, you know, seeing Infernus get prioritized so highly for Abraham, so there's a lot of other choices they could have gone with in that particular part of the draft. Is Infernus, or has Infernus been underrated, and are we seeing Sanya Sniper doing something a little bit different here? What's your interpretation of this?
Well, for me, I think Infernus probably has been a little bit underrated for a while now. I mean, ever since the urn got changed. I do think, though, games like this maybe influence people a little bit too much. I mean, this was basically the ideal snowball game for Infernus. Like, a lot of Infernus' power spike is through the mid game. You know, it's not as much in the turbo late game. And, the killing blow into the door that simply wasn't there anymore. But, yeah, I mean, this was the ideal game for Infernus as far as, like, how Sanya got ahead. And, yeah, I mean, if you are in Infernus that's 5k ahead in the mid game, it's very difficult to deal with the hero, because no one's going to have the actual damage to deal, not only chase down Infernus, but also, you know, the way afterburn scales, the way flame dash damage ends up working against health pools at that point in the game. You know, you could simply take people out with, you know, sparking them once, dashing, and that's often it. So, I mean, Sanya's ability to just control the early mid game was ridiculous, especially against a comp that was supposed to be good in the early mid game that Sneaky Team was running.
Yeah, what was the failure for you, Jason, in terms of what Sneaky, you know, in terms of Sneaky Team? You know, they obviously had a draft. I'm sure they didn't expect the game to go this way. What was the major point of failure?
I think it's kind of what ZP said, honestly. I think it's just Infernus got so far ahead that they were able to brute force with their lead on the right-hand side, preventing any chance of that urn being turned in. And it seemed like Sneaky Team did invest a lot to try to capitalize on getting that urn in, but constantly being met with a brick, or I guess a flaming wall out of Sonya, was really tough for them to deal with. I mean, they had OCs continuing to farm, but I think for me, a Geist isn't really going to be able to match up till way later in the game, especially having an Infernus that far ahead who can just sit at range from you, burn you down slowly, prevent you from getting any exchange happening. We did see some signs of life in them. Like, they did go for a nice gank onto ours on the left-hand side, but then they ended up trading 1-for-1 inevitably when Empty Dreams was able to get back into the fight over there. But yeah, I think it was just Sonic got so far ahead. He got too far ahead. And then the fact that you had the little gremlin running around the map, stealing over like 80 golden statue buffs, or like 80 buffs in general. I mean, I feel like Saint could probably have 1v1 some of the players with the lead he had.
Yeah.
Personally, for me, I'd say keep it simple in this case, in that, to me, this was kind of a reminder, game-wise, that you simply don't win in Deadlock if you lose the laning phase too much. And the game here was pretty much lost in laning phase, and anything else is just going, you know, Sneaky Team, what miracles can you find after you've gotten yourself, you know, 20k behind in lane phase? And the answer is not much.
Well, let's have a look and see who the MVP is for this one. I feel like you know, we've already had some good we've had some good chatter around Sanya Sniper on that Infernus. Really cool to highlight this. I don't know the last time Infernus was the MVP or the player of the match in one of the night shift broadcasts. So kind of cool. I am curious if this is something that will persist into the money match that's coming up. But yeah, you guys have already talked about it. Managing to get really far ahead. Rem, a really great assist in ensuring that Infernus or Sanya Sniper on Infernus could have such a great start.
Just felt like if you don't hit a charge against him or like a cart into a wall, what are you gonna do to stop him? Like the way Sanya's playing in like the 3 dimensions of bouncing up into the high grounds to make it even more difficult for the charge to land, the constant hitting he was doing for like the really good accuracy, the fact that he could dive and refresh the buffs and pretty much dive under the tower without any threat because he has Saint there to support him with tag along. I just feel like it was just a really bad matchup to send a Doorman and an Abrams up against an Infernus and a Rem. I think that was maybe like the start of that.
I don't know. I think in general, I mean, Doorman Abrams is in theory like a pretty scary lane. Like there's plenty of kill combo potential there. They're both like generally seen as higher tier as far as lane goes, particularly Doorman. Like I think there was a way to win that as far as execution goes. I just think that it felt to me a lane where they got behind early, and then once you get behind early, it really changes the dynamics of how poking back and forth goes, because if you're even or a little bit ahead in the Infernus, then you can tank a bit of burn damage, find a way to make plays, and actually take them down. If you start getting behind, then the trades just start becoming wildly against you. But yeah, we got our final score screen here, which is a little bit different than norm, and that usually means the API is being slow. So we get what everyone else gets when they look at the match ID.
Yeah, Empty Dreams on 49k player damage, topping the scoreboard there. But was that kind of like a sleeper pocket performance? Obviously we always focus on Empty Dreams when he's able to get a pocket. That's a pretty classic Empty Dreams pick. What did you make of what do you make of this, Jason?
Honestly, it was kind of hard to even remember he was in the game because we were just talking about Sanya the entire time. Also, like Arzo, 9-2 and 16, 43k player damage. Didn't really notice it because I think just Sanya he stood out so much in that game that it made it hard to remember there was other players on this roster. But I mean, the constant pressure of Empty Dreams didn't need to have a standout match because Sanya kind of already started things. They had the backup plan if Sanya did eventually get control with Arzo, continue to farm up. I mean, even together, he's like, I'm gonna just take your shrines while the rest of my team's doing mid boss. Like there was so many like individual moments of strength that really no one felt behind in this game.
Truthfully, you're talking about the pocket end. I'm actually surprised Empty Dreams ended up at 49k because you didn't get a ton of, full team fights in this game. It's kind of interesting because we thought the game plan may have been more or less small skirmishes that, Sneaky Team would be winning. Instead, for Hidden King, for Abrahams, they ended up winning a lot of the small skirmishes off of the power of lane phase, and you didn't even need necessarily gigantic team-wide afflictions to have an impact because you're just kind of winning a lot of these fights straight up off stats and fundamentals. But either way, for Sneaky Team, I wouldn't be too harsh on them for what we saw here. Still a newer team to be put together. They're going to have rough edges, and time has shown that it takes a few weeks for a team to get online. I mean, look at NA with FPS Lounge, where the first week the new FPS Lounge roster came out, it wasn't great. Next week they come back and win everything. So it takes a little bit of time in Deadlock when you have a new team.
All right, well, very wholesome take. That's a great way to bring us into the break. When we come back, we will be, of course, on to our money match, and it's going to be Buff Enjoyers, who previously were Loki W. If you're not like an old school viewer of Night Shift or the old Fight Night days, back to Buff Enjoyers. Extremely powerful team, but Abrahams look like they should be able to give a pretty strong performance up against them, especially with some of the new looks that we saw here with Sanya Sniper and Infernus. I hope we get to see more of that, and here's how the brackets, of course, looks. But we'll see you guys on the other side for the money match.